Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fall. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
On behalf of my constituents in the Bronx and Queens, New York's 14th Congressional District, the most impacted district in America, calling people losing their families every day. It is a joke when Republicans say that they have urgency around this bill. The only folks that they have urgency around are folks like Ruth's Chris Steakhouse and Shake Shack. Those are the people getting assistance in this bill. You are not trying to fix this bill for mom and pops, and we have to fight to fund hospitals, fighting to fund testing. That is what we're fighting for in this bill. It is unconscionable. If you had urgency, you would legislate like rent was due on May 1st and make sure that we include rent and mortgage relief for our constituents. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Seriously, dude, the money is going to some of the most legally challenged, seriously, and fraudulent companies with bad accounting practices. There is an amazing article today in the New York Times, in the title of it, which you can find in the homework section at randyrhodes.com. Click on homework, and you will see large troubled companies got bailout money in small business loan program, and it's worse than you think. Okay, it's worse than you think. These small business loans ended up going to sleazeball companies that were actually in trouble with the government, and then they got slathered in Trump cash. Okay, there was this one company. I tweeted this out last night. If you follow me on Twitter, you know. It was I'm at Randi Rhodes, which is simple, right? It's called MyMedX, MIMEDX. Okay, MyMedX Group. On April 6th, they agreed to pay $6.5 million to resolve false claims allegations for false commercial pricing disclosures. What the hell does that mean? It means that they paid $6.5 million to resolve the allegation that it violated the False Claims Act by knowingly submitting inflated commercial pricing guidelines to the United States Department of Veterans Affairs. It ripped off the VA. That's how simple that is, okay? They charged the VA inflated prices for grafting products. Human tissue is what they do. Human tissue that's used in skin grafts. And they overcharged the VA, and they got caught. And on April 6th, they paid $6.5 million to resolve the claim. Okay, that was brought against them by the Justice Department. And then 2 weeks later, on April 21st, they got $10 million from the PPP. So they paid $6.5 for bilking the VA, for overcharging the VA, to settle a suit that was against them, right? A criminal case against them, to the tune of $6.5 million. And then 2 weeks later, the Trump administration's Paycheck Protection Program gives them $10 million. What kind of a banana republic is this where that can happen? Okay. You got all kinds of companies. AutoWeb, they disclosed last week that it had paid its CEO. They paid their CEO $1.7 million in 2019, 1 week after it got $1.4 million from the PPP. I don't even know how to say this company. Intellinetics, a software company in Ohio, got $838,700 from PPP, and then the following week, it spent $300,000 to purchase a rival company. Escalade Sports, they make table tennis tables and basketball hoops. They had a $50 million credit line from J.P. Morgan Chase. And the chief executive, Dave Featherman, told investors this month that the company in Evansville, Indiana, had a strong balance sheet, was seeing rising demand for its products because so many people were cooped up in their houses and were looking for, things to do, like play table tennis, a basketball hoop, things that they made, right? And then he got $5.6 million from the PPP. $50 million line of credit from JP Morgan Chase. Big demand for their products. Great solid balance sheet. Here's $5.6 million in free money. I told you Medimex, a biopharma company in Marietta, Georgia, got $10 million on April 21st, and on April 6th, they agreed to pay the Department of Justice $6.5 million because it violated federal law by overcharging the Department of Veterans Affairs for medical supplies. U.S. Auto Parts Network got $4.1 million through the program. And they've been in a heated dispute with U.S. Customs and Border Protection after the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Patrol seized some of their products and determined that they were counterfeit. They were counterfeit auto parts. Infinite Group, a cybersecurity firm in Pittsford, New York, had been borrowing hundreds of thousands of dollars from its board members and the brother of a top executive at 7.5% interest. It just got a $1 million loan at 1% interest, which would be forgivable if they can prove, they don't even have to prove, if they say it was necessary. And then you got places that had serious accounting problems, like the chief financial officer of a place called CPI Aerostructures. They're an aerospace manufacturer. They got a $4.8 million loan, but their chief financial officer had to resign in February after the company had to disclose major problems with how it reported its revenue. Several of these companies that got millions, multiple millions, they paid their top executives millions and millions of dollars despite their financial problems that predated the virus. AutoWeb's chief executive, Jared Rowe, got $4.7 million in total compensation over the past 2 years, including $1.7 in 2019, even as its stock plummeted more than 70%. The company declined to comment for the article, the New York Times article. And Manning and Napier, an investment firm in Fairport, New York, that has about $20 billion in assets under management, disclosed in March that its chief executive, Mark O'Meyer, earned $5 million last year. On April 19th, they were approved for a $6.7 million paycheck protection loan, even as the company told the shareholders that it would pay out a quarterly dividend because they were doing well. I should tell you, Manning and Napier have said that they are not going to take the money. Harvard Bioscience got a $6.1 million loan through PPP. They're in Holliston, Massachusetts. But in a securities filing disclosing the loan, the company didn't say why it sought the money, nor how they would use it. Again, a spokesman did not comment for the article. And Continental Materials, a heating and air conditioning and construction supplier based in Chicago, got a $5.5 million loan because James Gidwitz is a major Trump donor, and his brother Ronald was appointed ambassador to Brussels by Donald Trump after serving as Illinois campaign finance chairman for the 2016 Trump campaign. I haven't gotten any money from the PPP, even though there's an application in there. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.